It keeps getting harder to own things. Last month, Sony announced that starting in 2028, the company is going to be completely done pressing physical discs for PlayStation games. After that, you can either buy games digitally or you can't get them at all. The company itself controls all of the disc manufacturing for its games, so no outside company would be able to just pick up and continue the work. Meaning that Sony is treating the concept of physical media as a switch that they can flick off. So the thing is, when a switch gets flicked off like that, the thing that gets lost does get remembered. A lot of the conversations I've been having in the last month have centered around other things that have disappeared. What else has been lost? What's hard to come by these days? What's been preserved? What's expensive? Does anyone even know how much it costs to physically buy 12 episodes of an anime these days? There's one game that was disappeared more than a decade ago, less than a year after it came out, that I just cannot stop thinking about. It's a short horror game about walking around in a circle, and if you wanted to play it today, you'd have to go on eBay or somewhere and find one of a long dwindled number of PlayStations to do it on. And yet, if you clicked on this video, you probably already know what game I'm talking about. And that's because PT is both a perfect example of how the digital age allows things to get lost, and also how it makes sure that lost things don't get forgotten. PT was shown 12 years ago at a Sony event at Cologne, Germany's Gamescom conference. It was a first-person horror game that, just from that first look alone, was a thing begging to be solved. You got a talking bag, a house that never ends, and a single question.
The only me is me. Are you sure the only you is you?
PT was billed as an interactive teaser, a short, standalone, free game setting up the full-price product to come. Its puzzles were really obtuse, requiring a lot of loops through the same set of hallways, where things would change and twist on each revolution. You get slowly haunted by the ghost of a murder victim, collect mysterious photo fragments, and try to piece together a way out of your endless loop. When you did finish it, you would learn that you'd actually been playing a teaser for Silent Hills, a forthcoming entry in a beloved horror series. It was being directed by Hideo Kojima, the man behind the Metal Gear Solid games and one of the most recognizable auteurs in gaming. Silent Hills would never come out. According to an anonymous source, Kojima had poured more than $100 million into work on a new engine for the then upcoming Metal Gear Solid 5. At the same time, Konami, the game's publisher, had started raking in a lot of cash with a phone game called Dragon Collection, a free download with 1 million microtransactions. Konami looked one way and saw a cash cow. They looked another, and they saw a money sink. Kojima would be demoted, allegedly separated from his staff physically within the building they worked in, and eventually fired altogether. Konami started making the safest decisions possible to rake in as much money as they could. Silent Hills got canceled in April of 2015, and PT was removed from the PlayStation Store at the same time, meaning that in under a year, this game that became a huge part of game culture in that time was impossible to download. The only way to play it is if you already had it installed on a PlayStation 4. And it's stayed that way ever since. It's really easy to think about digital media as if it was an infinite resource. When you stream or download everything that you consume, what's available is completely out of your hands, and so is what gets pulled away. If we're talking about files you've downloaded onto a computer, even if the availability of those files to download has changed, you still have them there. You can copy them onto a new hard drive, upload them to a cloud. But any game console that lets you download games digitally is selling you the license to play them. This is on PC, also how Steam works, which is the main place people play computer games. So, you will never be able to download PT on a new PlayStation, even if you did, for all intents and purposes, purchase it. It was free, but the system still counts it as a purchase. The number of consoles that has this game will only ever go down, making it a completely endangered piece of media. When I started working on this video, I picked up an ebook called PT, A Video Game Ghost Story. In it, Joel Couture talks about what made the game special, and talks to some sources that I've used and am gonna use in this video. He also paints this made-up scene set at a garage sale a couple decades from now, where an old man sells someone a PS4 and says that there's something a little special about it. His smile pushes toward the edges of his cheeks, sliding up towards his eyeballs. It doesn't look right, and you turn back to glancing through the box of games. The games are neat, but the thought of looking at that weird grin makes you want to just get on with your walk. Besides, what do you need with this busted system anyway? He's just lying. Take them. I'm sorry? Excitement pushes fear out of the way a little bit. You remind me of someone. Loved the game that's on there. Couldn't stop playing it. I'll never understand why you kept playing that one though. So, what was the game? The smile pushed upward even further, the teeth turned and yellowing jut out of scarlet gums. Can't remember, but you'll like it. He continues on, showing the main character coming home without the PS4, only to find it in a box inside his home. The story suggests this future where the game has become so thoroughly forgotten that any console that still has it installed becomes kind of a haunted object. The book supposes that PT, inevitably, will itself become a ghost. And in terms of tangible availability, sure, but culturally, archivally,
oh boy!
that's a different story. One difference between 2014 and 2026 is that in 2014 there were still jobs in game journalism. If your outlet couldn't or wouldn't fly you to Germany for Gamescom, chances are you were watching it via livestream. That's what Shabana Arif was doing when the trailer for PT dropped. Like plenty of people, Arif was immediately pretty sold by that trailer and gave the game a download. She would wind up being the first person to complete it live on Twitch.
I think we're at the end! Oh, fucking brilliant! Oh god, I feel so good! I feel good, I feel pumped. Oh my god!
One advantage that digital media does give you is the ability to get something out instantly. A release party for a physical book or game or album is an event, a little bit like friends gathering together to watch a meteor shower. When something like this drops digitally out of nowhere and becomes a huge deal, that's an event too. A little bit more like if a meteor fell in your town and you got in your car and bolted over to where you heard it was to get a look for yourself. And when you got there, you might find some of your neighbors there too. Arif's neighbors did show up. She streamed sporadically just for fun, not professionally. She wasn't looking for optics when she decided to stream PT, just in entertaining time with her couple regulars. She worked together with those viewers to solve some of the puzzles that the game became famous for. PT is a game where you can make progress by waiting until a clock strikes midnight at just the right spot, or by saying a name into a microphone plugged into your controller at just the right point in a staircase, if you can figure out what name to say. Hearing a baby cry and learning what not to do until the third time you hear it. This is a game where you have to collect 6 pieces of a photograph, and one of them is in the game's settings menu. PT wasn't just a series of puzzles, it felt like a discovered puzzle. When you stream a puzzle, you're asking whoever watches to help you solve it. Arif got help first when people online told her that the game didn't end where she thought it had at the end of her first stream, and second when her community helped her solve the game's final puzzle, making her the first person on Twitch to unlock the reveal of Silent Hills.
Oh, we did it! Oh, we did it, guys! This is fucking mental! Oh, the 3 of us, the 4 of us together.
For Arif, that help came from a couple regulars. But for others who would stream it, it came from masses of people.
It's something that's growing really fast. This month in May, I had about 52 million views, which is a lot for me, and it's growing really rapidly as well.
There was this period that started in 2011 and went on into the majority of the decade where video game playthroughs, specifically of horror games, were really booming on YouTube and Twitch, enough to be a career maker. People like Markiplier and Pewdiepie, some of the most successful people on YouTube, got big thanks to games like Amnesia: The Dark Descent and Five Nights at Freddy's.
Early 2015. Is that when Five Nights at Freddy's first came out? 2015?
Oh, emergency surgery!
Video game playthroughs and reviews always had their place on YouTube as the platform grew, but this big moment for specifically horror games was its own beast. It's not hard to see why. Thomas Grip, the creative director at the studio behind Amnesia: The Dark Descent, says how normally games are very skill-based. You need to be concentrated and play a certain way to play properly. But with horror games, the aim isn't to win, but rather to get immersed. There are plenty of reasons to watch someone else play a video game. Maybe you want to see something that you haven't played yet before you decide whether it's worth your money. Maybe you want to revisit a game you haven't played in a long time, or maybe you just really like the personalities and the commentaries of the people who you're watching. But it's also worth pointing out in this case that not everyone can handle horror, or at least not every kind, and not right in their face. Now, I have a pretty high tolerance. When I was a teenager, my friends and I would have all-nighter movie nights where we watched everything from Friday the 13th to Tetsuo the Iron Man. But the one category that I have a hard time with is medical horror. Anything with organs being removed or moved around is really hard for me to deal with. Meanwhile, one of my favorite games of the 2010s is Soma, the next game that would be put out by the Amnesia: The Dark Descent team. Soma is a game about humans being put into or fused with robot bodies, and there's stuff in it that really presses those buttons for me. So, if I think about Soma and I want to see footage from it, I'll usually look up someone's playthrough of it, because not only is it kind of cushioning to watch that immersion happen to someone else, it's also really fun. And that's the trend that's been growing steadily for 3 years by the time PT hits the scene. Like other games that would get big on YouTube and Twitch, it's an atmospheric horror game with jump scares and moments that get a lot of big screaming reactions.
Oh, fuck me! Oh, God, get away! No, you're gross.
Just like it was for Shabana Arif, it was also a puzzle. Unlike Arif, other streamers would have thousands of people watching live, eager to weigh in on puzzle solutions, or download the demo and try it themselves. Again, it was people on social media who told Arif she had more to go and she thought she'd finish the game. Hideo Kojima had thought it would take probably a week for someone to solve the game, and it ended up being a matter of hours. But nobody did that on their own. And if it wasn't for the instant online world of live broadcasts that PT was released into, Kojima probably would have been wrong in the other direction. For everyone who played it, and for everyone who watched it played, PT was a community event. So if you need one more reason to watch someone else play a video game, here it is. If you were in those Twitch chats or even the YouTube comments for people playing through PT, you were part of the ecosystem because those became part of the game space. People watching someone play a game might think of things that the person who's immersed in fighting a ghost might not think of. Hideo Kojima himself tweeted, "Please play this with your friends over Twitch if you're too scared to play alone." That story from the book about the PS4 at the garage sale is something that could happen. Maybe it has. Hopefully the thing isn't showing up in anyone's living room, but sure, I believe in ghosts, I guess. I'm willing to admit that on YouTube. But the game was streamed over and over to thousands of people, and a lot of those streams were put on YouTube. This Markiplier one behind me right now has millions of views. And that's there for kids of today to discover. That is archival work. There's a lot to be said for what we're able to keep. Most people stream music these days. If you're still buying things like CDs or vinyl, or if you're buying and downloading music on Bandcamp, you're probably doing it in part out of a sense of archival obligation. Because, again, if you're streaming things or buying licenses from a company's storefront, you don't have a say in what they keep. And that's what's happening to video games right now. PT was a teaser, but it was a finished game. Released, loved, and killed all within a year. Now, when games are costing more than they ever have to make, you would hope that wouldn't happen to GTA 6 or the next Spider-Man or Horizon, but we just don't actually know that. After all, PT was completely wiped from its storefronts over a grudge. But you may notice I haven't had any trouble sourcing footage from PT for this video. That's because of that huge wave of video content, of people playing it, taking viewer advice, doing their best to solve puzzles using whatever information was being thrown around in the moment. Gaming content is one of the most saturated spaces on YouTube. Want to see a trailer for something? It's there. Want to see something get reviewed? Big outlets and niche critics have videos. Want to watch a whole playthrough? Name just about any game released in the last 25 years, and you'll find someone that's uploaded it in video installment chunks, front to back. Whether you know it or not, if you watch someone's playthrough of a game on YouTube, you are engaging in archival work. If you make those videos, you're creating it. Video holds memory. I worked for a local news station in my home area for a few years, and I shot hours of footage there. When I look back through that footage today, I see buildings that aren't there anymore, businesses that have changed hands, streets gone quiet during the thick of COVID that are a lot busier today. Those videos are time and space, captured, made not immortal but lasting. When you watch someone work with their chat to figure out the last puzzle in PT, it is kind of the same phenomenon. Of course, YouTube is a service, privy to all the same risk of things disappearing that we've already been talking about. Videos get pulled down from YouTube all the time, or restricted all the time, and usually it has to do with copyrighted material. Even showing a clip from a movie or a show can get your video blocked or demonetized in certain countries, and it's all at the whims of Google and whoever owns the rights to the media. And a lot of the time, the owners of those media rights are big corporations. Are you noticing a theme? Here's a fun fact for you. Technically, streaming video games is a violation of copyright law, but it's one that people are generally fine with. Sure, studios could go after streamers and get footage taken down, but it's a really bad look. Streaming and playing video games are so intertwined. So many people go to Twitch to see things played, and it helps, whether you're a big studio or a small one, to have your work out in front of more people who can see it and say, I want to play that. And so studios are by and large fine with it. Some even offer explicit licenses allowing you to play their games on stream, and a few have specific things in those licenses allowing those rights to be revoked if you say something really stupid. On YouTube, you're generally fine if you show clips of a game like I'm doing as the visual accompanying an essay or a rant, something that marks the use of the footage as transformative. If you're watching video of someone playing a game and talking live over it, that's also usually okay. Games are legally classified as audio-visual work just like films, but function as a stage for performance. If you're playing a game and talking over it, or screaming at jump scares over it, that's performance. So that's great, right? Streamers and gamers are all archivists and performers? Wow, great job on the multiple hustles, everyone. But not every studio is as cool with full playthroughs being available online. When Grand Theft Auto 5 came out, Rockstar issued takedowns for any videos that had spoilers in them for weeks after launch. Campo Santo, a smaller studio with big roots, enacted a copyright strike for Pewdiepie's videos playing their game Firewatch after he said something he really shouldn't have. Nintendo has mostly chosen the symbiotic route by just claiming ad revenue on videos with their games in them, but they also killed a Did You Know Gaming documentary on a cancelled Legend of Zelda game. That's its own kind of scary. Videos of PT are still out there aplenty, but that haunted hallway hasn't been all safe either. YouTube actually intervened to defend a really good investigative video on PT that Konami tried to get taken down. It's worth noting that there are not a lot of times that YouTube has stepped up on behalf of a creator like this. There are a lot of articles out there about other YouTubers getting in legal trouble, and journalists will usually reach out for YouTube's comment, and they don't get it. It seems like most of the time YouTube, the place where this is all happening, just wants to hold very still and hope you don't notice that they are there. Anyway, this has all gone a long way from Sony and physical discs, so let's wrap it all back around with one more case.
Free gunning. It's hard work, but it's our work, and we don't take it for granted.
In 2024, Sony released Concord, a big sci-fi shooter entirely played in online multiplayer, developed by Firewalk Studio. 2 weeks after the game's release, citing low sales, Sony shut its servers down and refunded everyone they could. The game was in development for 8 years and was playable for all of 14 days when the company that had only owned the studio for the last year shut it down. By the end of October, Firewalk Studios was closed entirely. Of the people who did have a chance to play Concord, you wouldn't find a lot who were calling it perfect. It was coming in very late to a genre and model that was already losing steam. A lot of the reviews were to the tune of, here's 2 things I liked and 3 more that I didn't. But when you pour 8 years of game design and writing and art into something that does get a wide release, it'll find its fans. And if playing the game becomes impossible, those fans will get to work. Last November, more than a year after the short life of Concord, modders announced that they had gotten their own custom servers up, making this online-only game playable again for the first time. They announced it by putting videos on YouTube showing the servers in action, and Sony very quickly copyright struck those videos into oblivion. Today, you can find other people's videos about those videos. You can find the creators of the server talking about shutting off access because of legal trouble, but the videos are gone, and it seems like those servers are gone too. Sony effectively and efficiently punished people for wanting to play a game they put out. And as of right now, that's where the story ends. PT may be going extinct, but just like Concord, it has its archaeologists. The game was remade in Unreal Engine 4 by Quimsar, a user on the GameJolt forums, in 2018. That remake was taken down, but a few years later, Steam user Death, that's what they're called, I don't know, put out their own recreation. It's not without bugs, and running in Unreal 5 means that it doesn't look or feel completely identical, but it was published 3 years ago and it's stuck around. If you want to play PT, there's a damn good replica you can get your hands on right now. Will it stick around forever? Who knows? Last year, Konami published Silent Hill F, the first new game in the series since the whole PT debacle. And there's more on the way. Does that mean a legal crackdown is coming for anyone recreating PT? It's a beloved game, sure, but to Konami, is it anything other than a reminder of a failed project and a PR nightmare that's better left behind them? If you're remaking or recompiling or building your own route of access to a lost game that you didn't make, you already know that you're inviting legal trouble. So why do it? Well, 1, so you can play it again. 2, so other people can play it again. Sure, when PT got big, a lot of people streamed it because they knew it would do well for their numbers. It was part of a trend, but other people streamed it because they just wanted to share a weird, interesting horror game with other people. The fight to save a dying game and keep it alive is part of the fight to keep being able to share things. In an era where we don't know that we're going to have these forever, we have to create records. In an era where those records get threatened, we have to do something about that too. Cause yeah, Konami might find a way to get all record of PT struck from the internet one day. Sony might release another flop and manage to pressure YouTube into helping them wipe every video of it from existence. In an era where we really own less and less, we have to find ways to keep sharing, no matter what. There were other people who just did it because they wanted to share a weird, interesting horror game with your cat. Hello! You're on YouTube now. What do you think about PT? Yeah? You're more of a Silent Hill Requiem type of person. Okay.